you ask him, well, hey, what has to change in those situations? And he's just plain and simple. He says, I have to be better.
I think Dallas is a bottom the West 6, 7, 8 seed.
The Dallas Mavericks are coming off of an NBA Finals appearance. They have last year's scoring champion and made multiple moves to improve their defense. They acquired one of the greatest shooters in NBA history, have more experience than ever before, and going into the season had the 6th best odds to win the NBA Finals. But now, the Dallas Mavericks find themselves in a unique predicament nobody could have ever predicted. They have a solid defense and one of the better offenses in the NBA, but the one person people thought would elevate the Mavs is currently holding them back. Who is it? Can it be solved? Or are the Mavericks desperate to be one-year wonders? Before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to get the latest and greatest NBA news and analysis to your device. And now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. NBA season is officially here, and your boy wants to go to Intuit Dome for the first time and maybe try to sneak onto the wall? I don't think they'll let a Laker fan in. But if I want to get a ticket to Intuit Dome, the best way to get that ticket is SeatGeek. And right now, everyone can use my promo code TheFlightMike10 and get 10% off of any tickets on SeatGeek, whether you're a new customer or not. Sports, concerts, festivals, you name it. The reason I love SeatGeek so much is they rank each deal on a scale of 1 to 10, which is great because I've been to a lot of basketball events, but when I want to go to a festival or a concert, I really have no idea if I'm getting a good deal or not. Green dots are good deals and the red dots are bad deals. So take out your phone, open up the SeatGeek app, add promo code TheFlightMike10 to your account, and get 10% off of any of their tickets. Do it now because this promo is only available for a limited time. And thank you, SeatGeek, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Before we even talk about the current iteration of the Dallas Mavericks, we really need to give Nico Harrison his flowers, because the 2023-24 Dallas Mavericks were really something special and somewhat of a revelation. Remember, going into the 2023-24 season, fans were saying that the Kyrie Irving experiment was a colossal mistake and a huge disaster. Coming off of an offseason where the Mavericks literally tanked their final games to improve their draft stock, the 2023-24 Mavericks were special for a variety of reasons. The main reason being because they had 2 elite ball handlers on one team. Luka Doncic had the ability to do quite literally anything he wants offensively, whether it be shooting, driving, passing to the perimeter, or in the paint. There is no limitations in Luka Doncic's offensive game. His co-star Kyrie Irving is without a doubt one of the greatest second options in NBA history and is one of the most prolific ball handlers in NBA history. No question about it, Kyrie is a future Hall of Famer, and with a full offseason playing with one another and becoming acclimated to each other's skill set, they became one of the most star-studded offenses in the NBA, with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic both having a usage of over 28% and Luka being ranked number 1 in terms of isolation possessions, while Kyrie was ranked 7th. On paper, having your entire offense go through 2 players may seem a little short-sighted. After all, we've seen offenses like this before, most famously when the Houston Rockets attempted it with James Harden and Chris Paul in 2017. But in my opinion, that was a little bit more unique. Mike D'Antoni had James Harden isolating while he had Chris Paul running the pick and roll. So it was pretty much like Mike D'Antoni was running the Steve Nash Phoenix Suns with Chris Paul and cater that type of offense around James Harden. In the case of the Dallas Mavericks, Luka would win the scoring title with nearly 34 points per game while having an effective field goal percentage of 57%. His co-star Kyrie Irving also showed out, putting up 25 points per game while also having an identical effective field goal percentage of 57%. But if there's one person that I consistently want to give credit to, it's none other than Nico Harrison. Each and every offseason, he addressed what the Dallas Mavericks needed and was very proactive in getting the job done. When he saw that they needed interior rim protection and a pick and roll partner for Luka Doncic, he selected Derek Lively. And the interesting part about this is, you remember when fans were roasting the Mavericks for tanking during the latter part of the 23 season? Well, Derek Lively wouldn't have been attainable if they didn't do that, or in the middle of the season. Nico Harrison wanted a versatile power forward to insert into the lineup with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, so he traded for for PJ Washington. When he was seeking an additional lob threat, he decided to trade for one of the premier lob threats in the NBA, Daniel Gafford. Now obviously these additions worked because the Dallas Mavericks were able to make a run to the NBA Finals. However, they would lose to the Boston Celtics mainly due to the fact that their star-studded offense lacked efficiency and lacked perimeter shooting. Kyrie Irving just shot 41% from the field and just 27% from 3. Luka Doncic shot 47% from the field and 24% from 3. Obviously, the duo didn't just fall off in one series. When you compare the Boston Celtics to the Dallas Mavericks, Boston Celtics have significantly more depth than the Dallas Mavericks and can beat you from a variety of different ways. They also have one of the best defenses in the NBA and had a team defensive rating of just over 110. In order to overcome this, the Dallas Mavericks had to make some reactive and preemptive moves. But despite everything they changed, the one thing they didn't anticipate happening finally happened. You see, the 2023-24 Dallas Mavericks had a flaw that was significantly greater than the fact that they struggled from the perimeter, and that's the fact that they're one of the more below average defensive teams in the NBA. Their total defensive rating sat towards the bottom half of the NBA at 18th overall in the entire league, and in order to improve that, the front office had to make some moves. First, two crucial defenders, Derrick Jones Jr. and Josh Green, both left in free agency and via trade. To replace Derrick Jones Jr., the Mavericks brought in Najee Marshall on a 3-year deal worth $27 million. Josh Green is one of the better defensive guards in the NBA, so the team brought in a player that could fill in a similar niche, Quentin Grimes, via a trade with Detroit that sent away Tim Hardaway Jr. To supplement the team, they also signed Spencer Dinwiddie, who could serve as a solid ball handler off the bench when Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic need some rest. Now, this sounded like a very solid offseason thus far, and the Mavericks made some moves that could not only patch up the team's defense, but also improve it. But there was one final signing they had to make to cap off an electric season.
Klay Thompson is on his way to the Dallas Mavericks, I'm told, a 3-year, $50 million deal that'll...
That's right, the Mavericks capped off their offseason by signing one of the greatest shooters of all time in Klay Thompson. It was a dagger to two franchises, one being the Golden State Warriors and the other being the Los Angeles Lakers. The Orlando Magic could have paid Klay Thompson even more. The Los Angeles Lakers offered more money. Klay Thompson's dad was a Los Angeles Laker, but he chose Dallas over teams like the Lakers and the Magic because he wants to win a 5th championship without the Golden State Warriors to really stick it to them. Now that Dallas had acquired their third option and a player that could potentially take over in playoff games, it was time to put their plan of winning the West into motion. But things wouldn't start out so well for the Dallas Mavericks. You see, in the very beginning of the season, Luka Doncic suffered a leg contusion in team practice. Now you might be thinking,
Mike, this isn't that big of a deal,
but I hate to tell you, it could be a little bothersome. A leg contusion is basically fancy jargon for a very deep bruise, so it won't keep him out of games long, and he definitely will be healthy for the regular season, right? Well, yeah, he is healthy in playing games, but he isn't playing like he was the year prior when he won the scoring title, and that might be because of this.
He had the calf injury, right? I mean, is that
He had,
still-
yes. I thought he looked like he'd put some work in when he reported to camp. The day before camp, took an accidental kick to the calf playing pickup ball, missed all of camp, all of preseason. I think he gained some weight. He's playing his way into a rhythm, playing his way into shape.
Since suffering that calf injury, Luka Doncic is putting up 5 less points per game and 1.5 less rebounds and assists per game. In case you're thinking his production is simply going to Klay Thompson or another player on the team, Luka's usage percentage is just 2% less than it was last season, and he currently has the worst field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and effective field goal percentage of his career since his rookie season. It is not a hyperbole or a stretch to say that Luka Doncic has started off the season slow, and when you shape your entire offense around 2 players, Luka and Kyrie, the effect that you're going to see is less scoring production.
They're not going to start winning games more consistently until Luka Doncic is more efficient. It's that simple. When you have that kind of usage rate and your numbers are 41% from the field, you're in the low 30s from the 3-point line, and you take that many shots, It's going to be difficult to overcome that. I also don't.
Not just that, but let's take a look at the clutch game. For those of you who don't know, the NBA recognizes clutch games as a game where the score is within 5 points in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter or in overtime. Last season, the Dallas Mavericks ranked as the second best team overall in clutch games with a record of 23-9. This season, however, they are the second worst team in the NBA with a record of 2-6.
4 of their games have come down to the final possession. They have lost all 4. 1 of 7 shooting in those situations. This is a team that was the best in the league last year in those situations. This is the complete opposite.
The Dallas Mavericks' plan to win the Western Conference hasn't worked out as they had hoped, but there is some hope left. And if the front office can do everything right, they might get the first seed like they had hoped. So what is the one thing the Mavericks need to do in order to save their season and become a Western Conference contender? Nothing. No, that's literally the answer. Nothing. The good news is so far, a lot of the Mavericks offseason has paid off. The additions of Najee Marshall and Quentin Grimes have worked. Najee Marshall has a decent defensive rating of under 112, and Quentin Grimes is currently sporting a 112.6 rating himself. As for the offensive end of the ball, Kyrie Irving is playing extremely efficiently. Currently at the time that we're making this video, World Be Flat is shooting an outstanding 63.4% effective field goal percentage, which is good for the best in his career by nearly 6%. As for Klay Thompson, things aren't going as we had hoped they were. As a matter of fact, they're pretty bad. Currently, Klay is not shooting like his prime self. I've warned people on this YouTube channel multiple times. Klay Thompson is in his Miami Heat Ray Allen era, but a little worse. He suffered a torn ACL and a torn Achilles, but he's still contributing 14 points per game on a solid 37% from 3. And when you remember that this guy got a 3-year, $50 million contract and not a max contract, then that's okay. The Mavericks currently are 1 game over 500. They've won their last 3 games, which could signal that Dallas is riding the ship. A major part of their struggles is the fact that they lost 4 games in a row. And in those 4 games, they lost by 1 point to Phoenix, 2 points to Denver, 3 points to Golden State, and 2 points to Utah. Would have been really funny if they did 4 points to Utah. The point of this is the Dallas Mavericks aren't at full strength right now. If Luka can get back to playing like he did last season, then the Mavericks probably win these games. This situation is special because it's not like we don't have a reason for Luka underperforming to start the season, because we do, which means the front office shouldn't overreact and make a major move. They should just let Luka warm up since he missed the entire preseason and let him play until he's in a rhythm and in prime conditioning. They've already improved their defense in the offseason, and it seems to be paying off as they rank 7th in the entire league in team defensive rating, which is 11 places better than they finished last year. As for offensive rating, even with Luka not performing up to his standard, they still rank 7th in the NBA, which is due to increase when Luka is conditioned and playing more efficiently. The fact of the matter is that the Dallas Mavericks are just playing through a rough stretch of games where the main piece of their offense is currently underperforming for easy to explain reasons. There's a solution here, so the current issue isn't a major one. Now, it could become a major issue if Luka's efficiency doesn't reach what we know he's capable of in the last 4 seasons, but we have no reason to believe this is the case, since we know he is currently coming back from an injury. The Dallas Mavericks should be fine, but when Luka Doncic gets hot again, there'll be a problem for the league. Even if you double team Luka or Kyrie, they'll always have a wide open Klay Thompson to shoot the 3 ball. And good luck outscoring a team whose defense seems to have improved dramatically. Do you think the Mavericks are a contending team if Luka can play better, or do you think the Mavericks have regressed? I'll tell you a team that's currently in shambles: the Philadelphia 76ers. Tyrese Maxey had to beg Joel Embiid to start caring more about the game of basketball. Paul George hyperextended his knee and then made a podcast about it. We have a whole video on it. I'll leave it in the end screen. And aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.